Okay, strap yourselves in for this one, because today we're going deep on a story that's, well, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, you could say that again.
We're talking about Evan Neumann,
Oh, Evan Neumann, yeah.
an American who went from a seemingly totally normal life
Right?
to being wanted by the FBI
Ah.
and granted asylum in Belarus.
It's like what? How does that even happen?
Yeah, it really makes you think, how can you even tell a true visionary
Right.
from just a straight-up con artist?
A grifter.
Yeah.
A grifter.
Yeah, it's what's so fascinating about Neumann's story is that it's like right at the intersection of these like personal choices
Right.
and global politics.
Oh, for sure.
So we're going to like examine his actions, his motivations, and really try to figure out if he's this like master manipulator, a victim of circumstance,
Right.
or maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, who knows? So just to kind of set the stage for anyone who maybe hasn't been following this story as closely.
Evan Neumann is wanted for his alleged involvement in the January 6th Capitol attack.
That's right. Yeah.
And he's facing some serious charges, including assaulting police officers.
Yeah, and that's really just the beginning.
Right.
It gets a lot deeper than that. So after the attack, after January 6th, Neumann fled the U.S.
He ran.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And he ends up in Belarus, which, you know, is a country that has a very complicated relationship with the U.S.
To say the least.
Yeah, I mean, particularly because its leader, Alexander Lukashenko, is a close ally of Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, so it's a bold move.
It is.
Choosing to seek refuge in a country that's, you know, not exactly known for being friendly to the West.
Right.
So to understand how we got here, let's rewind a little bit.
Okay.
Take a look at Neumann's life before January 6th. So he was born in California, worked as a software developer.
Okay.
And even owned a handbag manufacturing company in Mill Valley, California.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Interesting. So on the surface, nothing really jumps out at you.
Right.
That this is someone who would end up in this situation.
Exactly. And that's what's so intriguing. You know,
Yeah.
there's this stark contrast between the life he was living and where he finds himself now.
Right. It makes you wonder, like, what happened? What events? What beliefs led him down this path?
Yeah, what shifted? What changed?
Yeah, and to make things even more interesting, this wasn't actually his first run-in with the law.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so back in 2017, he was arrested
Oh, wow.
for crossing fire lines during the Tubbs fire in California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was that really devastating wildfire.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he was trying to get to his mother's property, which had been damaged,
Okay.
but he crossed, you know, official fire lines.
Right. So that incident, while it might seem, you know, like small potatoes
Yeah.
compared to what he's facing now,
Sure.
it is interesting because it kind of shows a willingness to break the rules when he thinks they're unjust.
Right, like a disregard for authority.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It offers a little glimpse into his mindset
Right.
and maybe foreshadows what happens later.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so let's fast forward to January 6th, 2021.
Okay.
The U.S. Justice Department states that Neumann was there
At the Capitol.
at the Capitol on the front lines of the attack,
Wow.
confronting police,
Oh, wow.
and even using a metal barricade as a battering ram against them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So the criminal complaint
Yeah.
against him includes eyewitness accounts
Right.
from officers who say that Neumann punched them and screamed at them to kneel to Antifa.
Oh, wow.
And he even told them that he was willing to die that day.
That's intense.
It is. And the FBI says they have video evidence of this.
Oh, wow.
And Neumann is now on their most wanted list.
Yeah, this is serious stuff. But we do have to remember, these are allegations.
Right.
And Neumann has denied any wrongdoing, claiming that the assault charges are baseless
Okay.
and that he's actually the victim of political persecution.
It's crucial, I think,
Yeah.
to acknowledge both sides of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when we're dealing with someone like Neumann,
Right.
who is so polarizing. You know, he's created this narrative that paints him as the victim.
Yeah.
So how much of that is real and how much is just calculated? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And to understand that,
Yeah.
we need to kind of trace his steps.
Okay, yeah.
After the January 6th attack,
Right.
Neumann sold his Mill Valley home
Okay.
for $1.3 million,
Wow, okay.
left the U.S. in February 2021, traveled around Europe,
Okay.
and ended up in Ukraine.
Ukraine. Okay.
So he lived in Ukraine for about 4 months.
Right.
but then claims that he felt like he was under surveillance there.
Under surveillance? By who?
Yeah, she says that the Ukrainian authorities were following him. So he makes this, like, really daring escape into Belarus.
Right.
We're talking wading through swamps, dodging wild boars. It sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. So the choice of Belarus, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Belarus doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S.
Right.
Which basically makes it, a safe haven for someone like Neumann.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like a smart move.
Yeah, sure.
If you're trying to just avoid consequences.
Yeah.
But why Belarus?
Right.
This is a country known for human rights abuses.
Yeah.
Close ties to Russia.
Yeah. Is he really afraid?
Yeah.
Or is this like a calculated move?
Right. Is this part of some bigger plan?
Yeah. To align himself with a regime that is no friend to the U.S.
Right. So this is where that whole grifter versus gifted question comes in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is he like a shrewd operator?
Right.
Is he manipulating this situation?
Yeah.
Or is there a real, genuine fear driving his decisions? And to answer that, we kind of have to look at what he's saying.
Okay.
So in interviews with Belarusian state TV,
Okay.
Neumann has said that the U.S. justice system is totally corrupt
Oh, wow.
and that he would be tortured if he returned to the U.S.
Tortured.
Yeah, he even stated that he believes Russia and Belarus are being demonized by Western media.
Wow. So that's a pretty strong statement.
Right.
And one that really aligns with what those regimes say.
Right.
So, it makes you wonder, has he adopted those beliefs?
Yeah.
Or is it just a way to solidify his position in Belarus?
Right. Is he playing the game?
Yeah, and further their propaganda efforts.
Right, because it plays right into their narrative.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
But U.S. officials and legal experts have a different take.
Right.
They point to the evidence in the criminal complaint
Mhm.
and the fact that Belarus has a history of harboring individuals who can be used in propaganda.
So is Neumann a pawn
It's possible.
in this bigger geopolitical game?
Yeah. Is Belarus offering him protection just to poke at the U.S.?
Right, yeah. And make themselves look like the good guys.
Exactly. It's a bit of a murky situation.
It's a very murky situation.
Yeah. We have Neumann's claims.
Right.
We have the FBI's evidence.
Yeah.
And we have all this international stuff.
Right.
It's hard to know what to believe.
It really is.
Yeah.
So to try to understand it better, I think we need to take a closer look at January 6th.
Okay.
What exactly happened that day?
Yeah.
What did Neumann do?
Let's dig into that.
Let's rewind
Okay.
and try to piece it all together.
Right.
All right, so we're talking about January 6th, 2021.
Right.
A day that, shook American democracy.
Yeah, for
Thousands of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol building,
right.
trying to stop the certification of Biden's victory.
Yeah. Wild stuff.
Wild stuff. And Evan Neumann was right there.
He was, yeah. The indictment against him lays it out. Pretty specifically, it says that he used a metal barricade to assault police officers during the riot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the FBI says they've got video of it.
Of him assaulting police officers.
Of him, pushing the barricade into a line of officers.
Wow.
Even hitting them.
With the barricade.
Yeah, with the barricade.
Wow.
Maybe even with his fists, too.
Gosh, that's heavy.
It is.
But he rejects these charges completely.
He does.
In his interview with Belarusian state media,
Yeah.
he insists that it's political persecution.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because he doesn't deny being there.
Right.
He was there.
At the Capitol?
Yeah, he doesn't deny that. He just says it wasn't as bad as they say.
Right.
Or that he didn't mean to hurt anyone. But it raises a really big question.
What's that?
Can someone who took part in a violent attack on democracy
Right.
legitimately claim they're being persecuted for their politics?
Right. Yeah. That's the question, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it gets right to the heart of this whole thing.
It does.
Grifter or gifted?
Right, exactly.
Is he just twisting the story to protect himself?
Mm-hmm.
Or does he actually believe he's a victim?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
It is tough. I mean, the FBI has been building their case
Yeah.
meticulously. They're using video footage, social media posts, witness testimony.
So it's not just a he said, she said situation.
No, they seem to have the receipts.
Yeah. A real paper trail.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, if he's innocent, why run?
Right.
Why not stay and fight the charges?
Exactly.
But he says he ran because he was afraid
Okay.
of political persecution and torture in the U.S.
Okay.
He even said he's not strong enough to withstand torture.
Wow. Those are some pretty powerful claims.
Yeah.
And I can see how people would, believe him.
Yeah.
People who distrust the government, people who believe in conspiracy theories.
Right, exactly.
But we have to look at where he said these things. Belarusian state television,
Right.
which is known for being pro-government and, spreading misinformation.
Right, so is he just playing to his audience?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Trying to get sympathy, trying to get support from a regime that already sees the U.S. as the enemy.
Right, yeah.
It's possible. And there's another thing. We haven't seen any evidence that any January 6 rioters have been tortured in U.S. custody.
Right.
Actually, a lot of them have been released on bail while they wait for trial.
So his fear of torture might be, unfounded.
Yeah, it seems that way.
At least based on what we know about how other January 6 defendants have been treated.
Exactly.
So maybe the torture thing is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But what about the political persecution?
Right.
Is it possible that he's being targeted just for his beliefs?
Yeah, that's where things get a little blurry.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, the U.S. is all about freedom of speech, right?
Right.
The right to disagree with the government.
Yeah.
But if he broke the law, shouldn't he be held accountable?
Yeah, it shouldn't matter what his political views are.
Right. And legally speaking, the charges are about his actions.
Right.
What he did, not what he believes.
Right. So this isn't about suppressing dissent.
Right.
It's about upholding the law.
Exactly. And we have to factor in the geopolitical situation, too.
Right.
Belarus has a real interest in making the U.S. look bad.
Yeah.
Like a tyrannical regime. Giving asylum to a wanted American helps them do that.
It feeds their propaganda machine.
Exactly. It makes them look like the good guys.
Right, the defenders of the oppressed.
Exactly. So they get to score points against the U.S. on the world stage.
Right, it's a win-win for them.
Yeah.
So, while we can't say for sure that Neumann's lying about persecution,
Right.
we got to be skeptical,
Yeah.
given where he's saying these things and what the Belarusian government gets out of it.
Exactly. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about his decision to go to Belarus.
Why Belarus? Why not a country that's, more friendly to the U.S.?
Yeah, there are plenty of democracies out there that offer asylum.
Exactly. And that's what makes this choice so interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
Like we said before, they don't have an extradition treaty with the U.S.
So he's safe there.
Yeah, he knows he's probably not going back to the U.S. from there.
It's a smart move if you're trying to avoid the consequences.
It is. And Belarus, under Lukashenko, they've got a long history of taking in people who are useful for propaganda.
So Neumann's a tool for them.
In a way, yeah, they can point to him and say, see, the U.S. is no better than us.
Right, and he gets protection and a platform.
Exactly.
It's a weird kind of trade-off.
It is, yeah. Raises a lot of ethical questions, though.
For sure.
Can you seek refuge in a country that violates the very freedoms you say you're defending?
Yeah, it's like jumping out of the frying pan.
Exactly.
Or into the fire.
Exactly. And Neumann knows that Russia and Belarus get a bad rap in the Western media.
But that doesn't mean he gets a pass.
Yeah.
There are still moral implications to his decision.
Totally. So even if he really is afraid of the U.S., choosing Belarus doesn't exactly make him look like a gifted visionary.
No, it doesn't.
More like he's willing to compromise his values.
Yeah.
To save his own skin.
It makes you question his motives.
Definitely.
And, it plays right into the hands of people who want to create chaos and make people lose faith in democracy.
Okay, so we've talked about the evidence.
All right.
We've talked about both sides of the story.
Yeah.
And this whole international chess match.
Right.
But are we any closer to figuring out if Evan Neumann is a grifter or a gifted individual?
That is the question, isn't it?
Where do we even start with that?
That's a good question.
I feel like we've really gone down this rabbit hole with Neumann.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if we're any closer to answering the question.
It's tricky, right?
Is he a master manipulator or is he just, a guy caught in a bad situation?
Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's not like a classic good guy, bad guy thing.
Right.
We're talking about a complicated person.
Yeah.
In a really complicated global situation.
And maybe that's the takeaway here.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not always black and white.
Yeah, the world's full of gray areas.
It is. It really is. And it's so hard to make sense of it all, especially these days.
Oh, tell me about it.
With all the information overload, it's like, how do you know what's true?
Exactly. We're constantly bombarded with information from everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just go with the flow and listen to whatever fits our beliefs.
Right. You just kind of gravitate towards what you already think.
Exactly. But cases like Neumann's, I think, really show us how important critical thinking is.
For sure.
Like, how do we tell what's real and what's not? How do we figure out if someone's sincere or if they're just manipulating us?
Right. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Especially with these super polarizing figures.
Oh, yeah.
Like Neumann. People seem to either love him or hate him.
Right.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah, and that's often a sign.
Of what?
That we're dealing with a really persuasive person.
Okay.
You know, whether they're using that for good or bad, that's a whole other question.
Right.
But I think there are some things we can do.
To figure it out.
Yeah, to figure it out. To sort of see through the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, give us the tips. Our listeners are all ears.
Okay, so first, think about who's giving you the information.
Right.
What's their angle? Are they trying to inform you, persuade you, or are they trying to manipulate you?
Right.
Are they playing on your emotions? Are they giving you evidence?
Right.
Those are all like warning signs.
Okay, so don't just take things at face value.
No, exactly.
Do your research, look for other sources.
Exactly, and be careful of anyone who acts like they have all the answers.
Right, like they're the only one who knows the truth.
Exactly. If they say everyone who disagrees with them is wrong or bad, that's a big red flag.
Right, it's like they're trying to shut down any kind of debate or discussion.
Yeah, they're creating an echo chamber.
Right.
Where only their voice matters.
Okay, so check the source.
Yes.
What else?
Look for evidence.
Okay.
Don't just go with your gut feeling or your emotions.
Right.
What are the facts? What supports the claims being made?
Right, because anyone can say anything.
Exactly.
But if there's no evidence, it's just empty words.
Exactly. And we also need to be aware of our own biases.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is tough, but we all have them.
Yeah.
Whether we know it or not.
We do.
We tend to gravitate toward information that confirms what we already think.
Right, even if it's wrong.
Even if it's wrong. But to really be critical thinkers,
Yeah.
we have to challenge our own beliefs.
Oh, I don't like that.
I know, it's hard. But we have to consider other perspectives.
It's so hard to admit when you're wrong.
It is.
Or to change your mind about something you feel strongly about.
It is. But if we're not open to new information, different points of view, we're just stuck in our own little bubbles. And that's the opposite of critical thinking.
Okay.
Critical thinking takes humility,
Okay.
curiosity,
Okay.
and a willingness to listen to ideas that maybe make us uncomfortable.
Right, to be challenged.
Exactly. It's about finding the truth.
Even if you don't like it.
Even if you don't like it.
Okay, so back to Evan Neumann.
Yeah.
Grifter, gifted, or somewhere in between.
It's really up to each of us to decide.
Yeah.
We've given you the information,
Facts.
the different perspectives. We've shown you how complex it is.
Yeah.
But there's no easy answer. There's no label that really captures the whole truth about him.
And maybe that's the point.
Maybe.
People are complicated.
They are.
The world is messy.
It is.
And it's rarely just good or bad.
Exactly. We have to resist oversimplifying.
Yeah.
And try to understand the nuances.
Embrace the gray areas.
Yes, exactly. Engage with the world with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be afraid to question things.
Be critical.
Be critical, exactly.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Into the life of Evan Neumann.
Yeah.
We've gone from Mill Valley to the capital to Belarus.
You've been all over the place.
And along the way, we've really had to think about some big questions.
Yeah.
What's the truth? Who do we trust?
Yeah.
How do we make sense of this world where there's so much charisma and controversy?
Such good questions.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
It has.
And hopefully our listeners feel a little more equipped to, continue exploring these questions on their own.
I hope so, too.
Because that's what the deep dive is all about. It's about giving you the tools to think for yourself, to question everything, and to never stop learning.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deep.